First, we will put together our 6 21 by 2 inches squares from different colors face to face. And put a pin to sew them. We will use the pin as a guide to know where to sew. Now we will use the 1/4 foot for the quilting. Some machines have the option to adjust the needle to 1/4 inch. In patchwork, traditionally, we sew to 1/4 inch. When we sew patchwork, we sew one piece after another, forming a chain. You don't put stitches at the beginning or at the end. Now we will iron the pieces. The light color downwards and the dark one up. We open and iron the seam towards the dark square. Always iron the seam to the dark square. In patchwork, the seam stays closed. You don't open it like in traditional sewing. Now let's put together the rectangles to the patch pieces that we made. Put the rectangle on top of the pieces and sew them on the sides. Place some pins pointing where the seam should go. And let's sew. Again, we will sew our pieces as a chain, without security stitches, nor in the beginning or the end. Now we will iron the pieces. Repeat the ironing process, but now with a complete piece. The complete rectangle on the top. The seam is closed towards the rectangle. We have 3 patchwork squares. Next, we will integrate the squares to the patchwork squares. Since they are squares, you can place them any way you want, depending on your preference. Now put the solid squares on top of the patch squares. Again, iron the pieces that we sew. We have 3 blocks to assemble our placemat. We put them face to face. Notice that one seam is to the right and the other to the left. That is very important. Sew one block with another and then add the third. Now we have assembled our placemat with all the blocks. the 6 pieces. The ironing process is very important in patchwork. It's fundamental to get nice results. Now we will put the borders. First, we'll put the small pieces. Pin the pieces and we will sew them together. We will cut all the exceeding of fabric on the edges to make the exact size. Also, iron the edges with the seam towards the border of the fabric, not the patchwork but the framing fabric. It's ready. Now let's place the large pieces with the same procedure we did before. First, place a pin in the middle, then on the sides, and let's sew. Now we have ready the first part of our quilt. Iron the borders. The next step is to make a sandwich to make our quilting. The first fabric facing downwards, then the felt, and then the patchwork. Pin all around the placemat to secure the 3 fabrics. Now we will use the walking foot. This foot helps us to sew the 3 fabrics together properly because it has little teeth underneath that don't allow the fabric to slip. Secure the foot to the lever where the needle goes up and down. This way the foot synchronizes with the feet dogs. In the bobbin, put some thread matching the background of the quilt you'll sew, and up you can put a decorative thread. It can be different thread color or any color you like. Let's sew on the lines we have on our patchwork. In the big pieces, mark with a chalk any pattern you want. Now we'll use a decorative stitch. You can choose it from your control panel from your sewing machine that has many decorative stitches. Adjust it, and with the stitch we'll do the quilting on the edges. You can also use the stitch in the background of the placemat. This is optional and depends on your personal design and the decorative stitches your machine has. The placemat will look gorgeous. Mark with chalk some lines on the borders. You can sew them with a straight stitch or with a decorative stitch. Cut the exceeding fabrics and it's ready to put the bias. For the bias, first place it on the right of the quilt, folding the end to 45 degrees. Pin it and sew it exactly on the folding of the bias, that is 1/4 inches. Sew along the border. Stop in the corner, fold it like this, pin it and continue sewing 1/4 inch. The corner we folded twice will give a very neat finish to your quilt. Now we'll sew the last step, that is the bias. Fold it to the back and wrap the other part of the bias, pin it and we will sew it by hand all the back of the bias with invisible stitch. Sew all the edge with this stitch. And here we have our placemat. Share and have fun!